much. It's been so long, I know. It's been, gosh, over 2-3 weeks, I believe. I was actually on vacation. I went to Canada, met up with my brothers, my mom, their kids, obviously my nieces, my nephew. It was a great vacation. I'll post some pictures and maybe a little clip video. I've ziplined for the second time in my life. My kids did too, so that was fun. They got me to do it. The first time I did it when I was younger, and then this time around they were like, you have to do it, you have to do it. And so I did it with them, and I was mainly worried about my little one who actually wanted to do it, and she's like this big, and this one, and it's pretty high, and I'm just thinking to myself, are you sure you want to do this? She's like, yeah, I'm ready to do it. And she is a little daredevil. She is not scared of anything. So cute. But with that said, I am excited to be back. I've been getting a million emails from you guys. I love the feedback that I've been getting. Juan, this is for you. Congratulations. You did it, you did it. He got a CJO. I'm so happy. There's a bunch more. I've gotten emails, messages. I've gotten messages via Facebook. I've got messages via email, also on YouTube. You guys, I'm getting so excited that you guys are, making your dreams come true. I'm glad that I was able to contribute, if that's how you say it, contribute just a tiny bit, whether it helped you or gave you that little push, or some information I said actually you were able to use for your interview. So I'm really excited that all of you were able to kind of gather all that information, put that foot forward, and follow your dreams. So I'm really, really, really excited. And like I said, I'm back, have a cute little tan, yay! I'm not much of a sun person, but you're outdoors, you do a lot of activities. I got back and we had to rush to LA because my daughter, as you know, is an actor, and I am too, and my kids as well. So she got a little gig, so we had to travel to LA. She did her thing. We just got back, so I'm exhausted. So August is here. I'm gonna be going back to work soon. I've taken a couple weeks off. It felt great, but now I'll be picking up some trips. I'm hoping maybe Colombia, maybe SJU, which is San Juan, Puerto Rico. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted on how August is gonna go, but I'm really excited to go back to work. I missed it a lot. So with that said, we are gonna talk about something that I keep on getting questions about, you guys. And so I remember telling you about that magic book that has helped me. So what I wanna do is I wanna go over some of the things that I keep on being asked, and I also want to help you answer questions that are asked during an interview. Now, a lot of you have asked me, how come you get more than one CJO and I can't even get one? To be honest with you, I've gotten over 5 CJO from different company. I've decided on my company, obviously. And it just, for some reason, the first time that I interviewed, it taught me a lot. I didn't get my CJO, but from there, which was Southwest, and I'm sure you've seen that video where I went for the interview, brought my camera, filmed everything, did not even know you were not allowed to have your camera with you. There's a lot of things I didn't know, the dress code at the time. I wasn't watching any YouTube videos at the time. I just thought, hey, be yourself, dress the way you feel comfortable, and just go for it. And when I left there, I was convinced that I'd gotten the job, but I didn't, because something better was waiting for me, which is the company I'm working for. So always, always think positive, you guys. If you do not get the job, it's because there's something elsewhere that is waiting for you, either as a stepping stone to kind of reapply to the company that you want to work for, or it's just not meant to be because something else better is waiting for you. So always take it in stride. Don't beat yourself up about it. Take it as an experience and stay positive. Always stay positive. Good things will come to you. That is my motto. Anyways, with that said, I've been working out, so I'm sorry. I've got my sports top and I just put something really quickly on. I am sweaty and stinky, but you can't smell that, so that's good. All right, let's get going. All right, you guys. So, interview questions. First thing they do, they want to see your personality. So when you go to the interview, what do you need to do first? You've got to show your pearl whites. So always have a nice little lipstick, maybe on the redder color, to just kind of have your teeth show more. And if you're like me that just likes lip gloss, put your lip gloss, be yourself, and smile. And always smile. No matter what answers you give, you're smiling. Not like this, but like this. Be natural, be yourself. Okay, so I know it's very nerve-wracking because you're in front of either one recruiter, 2 or 3. And so your palms get sweaty, your heart starts pumping, and everything that you thought you knew, for some reason, won't come to you. So the nerves are gonna kick in, and you won't remember what you rehearsed. And then the panic starts, and then you can't come up with the answer. The very popular questions that they do ask is, why are you choosing us? Definitely that is a question that comes back every single time. So you guys need to get prepared. And when I say prepared, if you want to rehearse, you can do that too. But what you need to do is to just kind of underline the important points of the airline you will be working for. So for an example, if it's Delta, what makes Delta so special? So Delta requires research, okay? Delta is a main legacy carrier, and what you need to do is you need to sit down, research as much as you can, and you will get those answers on their website. So you go delta.com and do your research, okay? Go at the bottom of the website, it'll say resources, it will say about us, it will say anything that you can read, you read. Now, as you read, take down notes, and I want you to basically underline or highlight or just kind of write down the important points of that company, because you know that this is a question they will keep asking you directly and indirectly. For an example, they'll ask you why Delta, or if you had a preference, why would you choose us over another company? Or, you know, they just kind of, the wordage changes, but the answer is the same. What they want to know is if you've done your research and why are you choosing them. So, and another thing I got to tell you guys, sometimes they'll ask you a question and you don't have the answer to that question. Now you need to tweak that answer so that it answers that question. And a lot of time those are, okay, so I'm going to give you an example. Let's say again, with the same example, they ask you, why us? Now, if you've memorized, not memorized, but you've highlighted the important points of Delta. Let's say you want to say, you know, before you go there, you've underlined the points that they are a reputable company, that they treat their employees very well, that it is a service oriented company that treats their clients with the utmost respect, and that it's really important, and they lure them in with miles, and we want repeat clients, we want people to come back to us, etc. Anyways, so you've read about Delta and you've written down all the important points. Now, if they ask you a question that does not really relate to them, so let's say they ask you something like, why would you pick a company over another? So now they're not asking you about Delta. You've learned what's important about Delta, but they're asking you another question. So what you need to do is you need to remember what you studied, and you need to tweak your answer with what you got. Remember, knowledge is key. Take those answers and tweak them into your response. So if they ask you, why a company over another? Let's say they don't even ask you about Delta, but what makes you choose one company over another? So now you can use that knowledge from Delta and say, well, a company that deals with customers and treats the customer right and their employees, and is actually their emphasis is on service. And so you keep on repeating the points that you learned about Delta, and then you bring it into your answer. Well, this is why I believe that Delta is the right choice for me, because from my knowledge and from my research, so you show that you've researched the company, I believe that pam, 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 all these points that you memorized or you remember on the top of your head, and you bring them into your answer. So again, the question may not be the answer that you studied, but you need to tweak your knowledge and throw it at them. I don't know if it makes sense. I hope it does. And that is for any question. Now, what you need to do is basically learn maybe 5 or 6 answers, okay? Because the questions keep on repeating themselves. And I'll give you a couple of examples. So the questions that come back, one is, why do you want to work for us? Now, they may ask you, like I said, in different ways, but you need to have an answer to that, and you need to study that. Very important. 2, if you have a conflict with a colleague, how do you handle the conflict? Now, you need to be able to pinpoint a conflict that's happened in one of your past jobs, okay? And make sure that the example that you find is actually an example that you're gonna be using for any question that will require you to answer that question. So, for example, what would you do if this and this happens? How would you react? Okay, so this is one way of asking you about a conflict. Or, name me of a conflict that you have with a coworker or a boss and how you handled it. So this is two different ways of asking the same question. Now you guys need to know that you need to prepare your answers prior to going to your interview, okay? You just can't come up with something and you don't want to be like, oh, let me think about it. Now you're getting sweaty. You're flushing, you're all red. I can't think of an answer, and you look stupid. So next, they're gonna be like, next, she's not even prepared. They wanna make sure that you are prepared, okay? So when you're not prepared, they see that. And when you are prepared, they see that too. I'll give you an example. I have prepared most of my answers for most of the questions I thought they would be asking. Now there's probably 5 basic questions that they'll ask you, not more than that. Now you need to have an answer, more than one answer per questions, because if they ask you 2 questions that are very similar, you don't want to give the same answer to those 2 questions, okay? So what you do by giving yourself a chance, okay, so what you need to do is you need to sit down and you need to think about a conflict that you had with a coworker, but you need to think about 2 different conflicts. So think about one conflict, maybe with your boss, okay? Something that was something that is worth mentioning because you came out on top from that situation, okay? So you're gonna write that down. And then you're gonna write down another situation, maybe with a coworker. You know, something that you handle pretty well that you were able to also conquer and come out on top or learn from that experience. So now you've got 2 examples. Now they might ask you the same questions in 2 different ways. You can answer one with this answer, and you can answer the second question that is similar to the first question with this second answer, all right? So basically you have a bank of knowledge and you give yourself immunity. Immunity, is that what I want to say? Yes, my English is, okay. I just came back from Canada and all I spoke was French. So pardon my English, you guys. All right, my brain tries to translate, you know. Anyway, so with this said, make sure that when you write down your answers, okay, that you have more than one answer. Capiche? All right, so when you hear the question, you can always use these other answers and they'll be different. And they're gonna be like, wow, okay, so she's prepared. Now, when I went for Frontier, I'll never forget, we were in front of one recruiter for the first interview. There was plenty of other interviews throughout the day, but I remember my first interview, I was sitting next to someone who also wanted to work for Frontier. And we were asked, was it the same question each? No, but on the third interview, we were asked the same question. Okay, so the first interview, we were asked different question. And on the third interview, I had a different interviewer and he asked the same question with me and the girl. Now it all came down to who answered best. And I remember being very professional and very prepared. And I remember the girl next to me, she was pedaling. Whew, she was looking at me. She was like, she was impressed by the way I was answering, but at the same time, I could see her stressing out because she wanted to answer the way I was answering. But I could tell that she wasn't prepared and I prepared, okay, prior to going to the interview. And I remember leaving the interview and she said, I don't know how you did it, but you sounded amazing. Like, what is it that you did that I couldn't? And I told her, you did really well. You just missed, I think what you were lacking is confident. Even though I wasn't confident, I mean, I was, but you know, you're not 100% confident. You're shaking, you don't know what's waiting for you. You know, I'm not a superhero. I feel the same things as you do, but when you feel prepared, like that's like in anything. For giving a speech, you feel prepared, you feel more confident. So I was very prepared going into it. Now, you never know what questions are gonna be asked, but when they are asked, something should trigger your brain because remember, you did your research prior to going into your interview and then your answers should just flow out. That's what happened with my Frontier. My answers were like that, hers weren't. She didn't know how to put the context of the, her answers weren't structured well, and she was just all over the place. So I can tell she was panicking too, and mine were very precise. I didn't give more information than I needed to. That's another key that you guys need to remember. Stick to your answer. Don't give too many details, because if you do, then they ask more questions, and then you kind of dig yourself even deeper. You dig your hole deeper. Yeah, something like that, but you know what I mean. So if they ask you for a question, answer the question and put your dot at the end, okay? And now there's a way of structuring your answers as well. Okay, so I'll give you an example. They want to ask you, have you ever had a conflict with a coworker? Now you can answer it, yes, I tried to do this and it didn't work out. And at the end, well, that's just the way, I guess I learned from it and that's it. That's the one way that you can answer it. And then there's the other way, which is the way that you should answer. Yes, there was a time where I messed up, or there was a time that I didn't do things correctly, or there was a time that I did something correctly, but then I learned from it. So always explain the situation. So you have your intro and make it very short. There was a time, 3 dots, place your situation where it took place. Right. Okay, so let them know where the situation took place. Could be in a restaurant, could be at work, you're an IT tech, you are a waitress, whatever it is. I was waitressing. Don't give dates. This could have taken place a year ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They don't care. Okay, do not say it happened 5 years ago, because they might say, well, maybe something more recent, and then you don't have one and you're like, oh my God. So don't put a date to it. Just let them know, hey, this happened recently. You could say recently too. It's not a lie, or don't even say that. Just say, there was a time that I was a waitress and I had a conflict. And the conflict was, now you need to explain the conflict. You can't just be like, there was a conflict. Well, they're gonna ask you, what's the conflict? Now, if you see a recruiter asking you a question, that means you weren't detailed enough. And when you're not detailed enough, they're gonna take points out of this interview, meaning that you're not scoring as high as you should. Now, sometimes they score you, and sometimes they just kind of look at what you're doing and kind of decide if they want to make you go through or not. Always be descriptive, but not too descriptive. Okay, so I'm a waitress. I had a problem with my boss. Okay, and the problem was that he was very demanding. For example, he was very demanding. He wanted me to do things his way. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so I'm just kind of, this is hypothetically speaking. Okay, so I am giving you the scenario. This is what's going on. Now, you don't go and say, well, there was a time I was a waitress, and then I went in the bar, and then he started arguing, and I was like, why are you arguing? And then he did this, and then he did that. They don't care. They don't care. They don't want to hear that, because then if you start getting into details, then they're going to start poking at you. Why did you act this way? Why did you say that? Why did you? And they're going to X you out, okay? You're going to dig your own grave. Remember, keep it simple, you guys. So answer very simply. I was a waitress. I had problems with my boss because 1, he was very demanding. 2, he didn't feel like I was up to par with everything. And 3, whatever, just be very specific. Now you need to answer the question. What did you do about it? Well, now the wrong way to answer that is, well, you know what? I told him to F off and I just left and it's his loss. Yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe you just said, screw that, I'm not working. But you don't want to say that during an interview, because what you're showing, remember, they're looking at you and they're learning from who you are and how you behave from different scenarios. Now, if you're saying that to your recruiter, you're telling him that if you are to be 35,000 feet in the air and things are not working out with, your passengers, you're just going to be like, the hell with you. You know what? I don't care. You want good customer service? I don't feel like it, because that was a prior behavior that you did with a prior job that you are bringing in your new job. Okay, so they will X you out right away. Now, the proper way of answering that is, well, he was having issues with me. Okay, remember the intro, and then you talk about the problem. He was having an issue with me, and it was time for me to step up and have a discussion with him or her to come to an understanding and an agreement on how we could coexist together. Okay, so now they want to hear that you can communicate. Very important, you guys. If you can show that you can communicate, then you're showing your interviewer that if you have an issue at 35,000 feet, that you will be communicating and you will be trying to work things out, okay? Very important. Now I'm sticking to the very basics. I'm making this story up. Do not use my story, because if it is not your story, it is hard to own it, okay? Because even when you make up stuff, they can tell. So make sure you use your own examples, very important, because if you start lying, then it's really hard to come up with scenarios that happen, because they might dig a little deeper and find out what happened, and you may not have the answer and you're gonna look like a fool. So use your own example, remember, but I'm just giving you the tools to answer a proper question. Okay, now there is the STAR method, STAR. I'm sure you guys all know about it, all read about it. I am not a fan, okay? And I know what I'm saying right now is similar to the STAR. You kind of speak about your introduction and then what did you do to resolve the situation, blah, 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 blah. I don't like to do that, because then you have to remember S stands for that and T stands for that. Did I do the T? Did I do the A? You want to flow. You want to make it sound natural. You want to make it sound like it's from your head. So, sorry about that. So with that said, you end your conversation by 1, I have learned a lesson. 2, I was able to communicate. And 3, it has helped me grow, and now I'm a better person for it. So these 3, if you need to write those down, write them down, you guys. Very important. Always conclude with what you've learned from that, okay? What I've learned from it is to be a better person, to communicate more, that, you just have to learn, you have to speak your truth, and you have to let them know what you've learned from that situation with your boss. Number 2, be confident, and just tell them, be honest. If you made an error, or you weren't really a good worker at the time because you had other priorities, tell them. Don't try to be perfect, because the minute you say I was perfect, everything was cool, it was my boss's fault, you're putting the blame on someone else, and you have to be able to be relatable, okay? They know that you're not perfect, but I know that you want to look perfect during the interview, and you want to look like you're all that and more, and you should hire me. And that's the first instinct that we have when we interview, that we want to show them the best of us. But sometimes when you open up a little bit and you show them that you're not all that and you're not perfect, but you've learned from the situation, and you've made amends with the situation, and you try to better yourself, and you're a better person for it, it'll give you points like you wouldn't believe. You will score so high that not only are you going to get your dream job, but they are just going to be waiting around the corner to tell you got your CJO, guys. I'm telling you. So I hope that helps. Now, that was just, like I said, an example. You can use any example. Again, introduce the situation, talk about the situation very concisely, and then summarize with, I've learned, I've grown since, and just kind of be very, very modest, if that's the word that I'm looking for. Just don't be a superhero, be down to earth, and be relatable. Very important, because they want to know that you've learned and you're not going to make that same mistake, or you've learned and you're a better person for it. They love to hear those words, and that will give you extra credits and extra points. So that's what I've used, and it worked for me. You can do whatever you want, you guys, but if you're watching this, it's because you're needing extra tips or extra pointers, and it's worked for me, it'll work for you. Now, with that said, there's a book that helped me. I know you guys, I've been telling you about it. All right, what I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna give you guys, I'm gonna read from that book. All right, so I'm gonna give you a sample test question, and I wanna see how you guys, which one, A, B, or C, you're gonna answer, okay? So I'm gonna give you a question, like an interviewer, and I'm gonna give you 3 answers, as if we're 3 candidates answering different questions. And then without me telling you the answers, you're gonna think about it, and then you're gonna say in your head what letter you would use, A, person B, or person C, okay? And then I'll tell you the answer, and I'll tell you why. So, tell me about a time when you had to deal with an angry customer. By the way, that is a very popular question for most of the interviews. So that would be another question that I would probably try to find a couple of answers to, because it might be asked in different ways. Okay, so A woman called and was yelling about a product that didn't work. I listened and let her vent. I then made sure that I understood all the facts and told her that I would call her back within the next 2 hours. I did some research and found that her product was still under warranty and that could send her a product at no charge. I called her back and she was glad to hear that. She thanked me and asked for my supervisor name so that she could report my efficient service. All right, that's A. B. Okay, now think about it. Now we're at B. Since I work in customer service, this happens every day. Someone calls and yells at me and I have to take it. Sometimes I can help the customer by making a suggestion or referring the customer somewhere else. But not always. I just try to stay calm and not get irritated. I know that the customer aren't yelling at me and that they're really frustrated. I try to help as much as I can. So that's somebody explaining, what they do with the customer. So that's B. Now for C, every time I get one of these angry people, I have to just sit and listen. Some days it is difficult to hear all the complaints, but that's the nature of the job. I just try not to take it personally and to get through the day. Okay, now think about it, you guys. Would it be A, B, or C? What'd you guys think? What'd you guys think? All right, so A is actually what your recruiter wants to hear. What he wants to hear is A, okay, because it is the strongest answer. This answer is the strongest one because it provides a specific example of your experience dealing with an angry customer. Okay, so again, your answer needs to be specific. It can't be vague. You can't be saying, oh yeah, I had a lot of customers and that's how it was and it didn't work out. No, that's not specific. We don't really know how you acted with that customer. That's just in general. That's what you did and that's what you do. They want to hear a specific situation. That's why I told you guys, give yourself some examples for every question so you can apply them to your interview. And then they go on by saying that number A is the best answer. Through your example, the interviewer can recognize skills that are relevant to the job. The ability to communicate, listening skills, good customer service skills, patience, the ability to research facts, and good follow through. So with the example you're giving, the specific answer, he knows that, or she knows that by listening to your answers, she can see you as a flight attendant and how you would handle that situation. Does that make sense? Yes. Now, why wasn't B or C a good answer? Well, B is not as strong as A, and the reason is because it lacks of an example. It lacks examples, okay? So the interviewer may sense a good work ethic and attitude, but doesn't hear an example for you on how you handle a stressful situation or learn about any experiences you've had in dealing with customers. This represents a missed opportunity. Remember what I told you guys, be specific with your answers. All right, and now the weakest answer would be C. And why? This is the weakest answer because it has a negative tone. It is almost whiny. It does not demonstrate an attitude that is supportive of customer service and does not offer an example of the skills you have used to deal with a situation like this one. The interviewer does not learn how you deal with customers from that answer. So you guys, as I said before, that is very important. You need to be as specific as you can, and it takes work. You can't just go on an interview with your eyes shut and your ears shut and just kind of go blindly into it. You need to sit down and you need to ask yourself a few questions. How do I deal with customers? What do I do when they're angry? How do I relate to my boss? And a lot of those questions are on glassdoor.com. If you go through any airline, they'll pop so many questions and how they answer them, but they always come down to the main things. They may be asked in different ways, but they all ask the same questions. Why do you want to work for us? How do you deal with your customers? How do you deal with angry customers? What would you do if? And then there's so many other questions that are asked. Now, I'll do another video about specific questions that are asked. This video is about how to answer questions and how to be specific and nail it and just kind of show your confidence and come across as, you know what, you you need to hire me because you're missing out if you don't. So this is what I wanted you to get the confidence and the knowledge and the preparation that you need to just nail it and just destroy that interview, guys, and get that CJO, baby. Anyways, I hope this video was amazing. I am still working on the book that I was telling you guys about. I can't wait to be done. It's a lot of work. I can't wait to put it together so that you guys can learn from it, read it, maybe gain, some knowledge from it too. And I can't wait to share my other videos because I have other stories to share with you guys. So now I'll probably post some of the videos of me ziplining or my kids ziplining, because obviously I couldn't film myself because I went first and then my kids went after me. So I was able to film them, but I couldn't film myself while I was on that zip line. But I'll just put some clips of activities that we did, and I am so excited for you guys. So thank you so much for following me. I've seen a growth in my subscribers. I think we're almost at 300. I remember when I started with 1. So you guys keep subscribing, please, please, please. Don't forget the notification bell so you get notified whenever I have videos about interviews and anything related to airline, employment, flight attendant, obviously, jobs. And I want to send you all my love. I am so proud of all of you guys and the growth that you're making. I love how you communicate with me. Don't feel shy. I have time for you guys. If I don't, then I don't answer, but I'll take that 5-10 minutes and answer you guys back if you have any questions. By no means am I a professional recruiter, although that's what I want to do with my company. But it takes about a good year, and I've only been working for them for 6 months now. So I'm still under probation until the end of this month. So that's when the benefits kick in, you guys. But after a year, I'll be able to probably start recruiting, and who knows, you might see me. And if you do, remember my advice, you guys. So, all right. So I hope I've answered some of your questions and give you that confidence to just go for it and follow your dreams, you guys. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't. For every can't, you go twice as hard, all right? You can't, well, I'm gonna do it even harder. And just listen to your heart and follow your dreams, because I know and I believe in you. You got this. You got this. Peace out. Love you guys. Have a great day. Have a great upcoming weekend. I will upload a little bit later this weekend. I'm putting together something really special that I wanted to talk to you guys about even like 2 weeks ago before I left, about my kids traveling with me, and I can't wait to post pictures about that. That was very interesting, to say the least. But so many stories I got to share with you guys, and more about interviewing. If you liked it, comment below. Let me know that that was very interesting, and if you've used my technique and if it worked in your advantage. So see ya. Bye.
I did it. 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 She did it. She did it. She did it. I did it. Woo! That was a friggin' rush and a half. Woohoo!